Hello everyone, Hobbyist here. We are back at it again with another Nemesis character guide. And this time, we are going to be talking about the Psychologist. Now, if you chose to not go with the Scientist inside of your Nemesis game, the Psychologist is the alternative character choice inside of Nemesis Aftermath. But why exactly would you want to pick the Psychologist? Well, if I'm being totally honest with you, the biggest reason why you would want to go with the Psychologist, maybe, instead of the Scientist, is that the Psychologist is a lot more of a support role in comparison to the Scientist. Like, the Scientist is good with computer actions and things like that, but nearly everything that the Psychologist does revolves around being partnered with another character, both for good and for bad. So, let's go ahead and get into his kit. So, going over his trait card, his trait is Shrink. When any character in your room performs a basic movement action, you may discard an action card from your hand, perform a basic movement action to the same room. You perform this movement before the other character performs a noise roll. Basically allows you to constantly tag along, but fortunately it doesn't have anything to do a whole lot when it comes to the turn order, because the character who moved still gets to perform the noise roll, still takes the damage if something were to attack them. It would only be during the intruder attack step that you would have to worry, okay, am I next in the turn order to get attacked, or is the person I'm following going to get attacked instead? That's pretty much all that there is to that. I mean, it's with any action card because it's a basic movement action, so it's got some play with it. But now, let's go ahead and get into the items of the Psychologist. The unfortunate thing when it comes to the starting item of the Psychologist is that it's the exact same stupid pistol that the Scientist has. It's god-awful, it's dog shit, because it can't do damage. Not really. So, again, it's one of those things to where the Psychologist is going to be pretty much avoiding as much combat as possible. However, the quest items is where it's really at the Psychologist. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is the emotion scanner. It's going to cost you one action card, as any quest items do, and you activate this item inside of the emergency room. When you do, you can use Don't Panic, Would You Kindly, and Lend a Hand actions from a neighboring room. In just a second, also noting that you can only use this while you're not in combat, I'm going to show you what these specific action cards are and why this emotion scanner is very important. So the next quest item that we're going to be talking about is by far the Psychologist's strongest quest item card, period. Like, I would say it's even stronger than the Captain's Key card, because even though it only costs an energy charge, an action card, I'm not the biggest fan of costing energy charges, because energy charges are great for opening and closing doors. They're also good for reloading energy weapons, but again, this is one of those cases to where that's not so much the case. So, you can only use this Oculobe drone once, but you can give this item to another character. The Psychologist may see all secret checks being made by this character. This item cannot be traded or discarded. Now, that doesn't sound too specific right out of the gate. However, this is the biggest deal. Secret checks, according to the Oculobe drone, include knowing when a person is checking the coordinates to see if it's going to Earth. You too will also be able to see that check. When a person is checking their objective card, you will also get to see that objective card. When a person is checking the engines or choosing to either fix or break the engines, you too will also get to see that check. Nothing is hidden from you on this Oculobe drone. It is that goddamn powerful. Like, my god. The key thing is pinning it on somebody that you either don't trust. The other double-edged sword with this Oculobe drone is that if you are trying to play cool corporately, meaning that you are attempting to bring someone down in order to fulfill your own objective, you have this Oculobe drone as your alibi to pin people for things that they didn't do. You can tell them, you can claim whatever you wish. The person might be telling the truth that they did fix the engines, but you could say, no, I put the Oculobe drone on them, I watched them, they didn't do that. Things like that. Because only the person who did the secret check and you will know what happened. So that's also part of the skepticism that takes place here. So, again, a very fun card. But now, let's go ahead and get inside of the action deck of the Psychologist. Again, like most characters in Nemesis, the Psychologist has an action deck of 10 cards. To where he has the typical rest, search card, good old-fashioned computer skills, which hasn't changed, demolition, interruption, another search, basic repairs, 2 cost, so not that great at fixing things. But now, we get into the cards that synergize with the emotional scanner. First, being lend a hand. Choose any one character in the room you are in. The chosen character draws 2 cards, and all other characters in this room draw 1 action card. Then all affected characters discard an action card. So, it's a very useful card to help people shuffle through their decks. It's far more effective than the motivation card that the captain has. It's even more potent with the emotion scanner because the emotion scanner allows you to use this action card from an adjacent room. The only key thing with this card and the other 2 cards that are going to come after this is that the emotion scanner's signal is cut off when that door is closed. So you got to keep that in mind, is that if you don't want this benefit, close the door. If you don't want people to gain certain benefits, or if you do, then you got to make sure doors are open, that the ship didn't close them and things like that. But this is a very good card to shuffle, especially since it is specifically cards and doesn't specify contamination cards or otherwise. So I imagine that if you have contamination cards stuck in your hand, you can discard those to draw more. But the fact that they have to discard a card could be a key difference. The next one we have is Don't Panic. Play this card during a surprise attack against you or any other character in this room to ignore its effect. It's pretty good. There's quite a few characters now who are a lot more prepared to react a lot better. And the fact that you can also do this to save somebody else is really nice. Last card we have is Would You Kindly. Costs you nothing to play it. Doesn't matter what situation you're in, you can just play it. Then you choose another character in the room you are in. A chosen character immediately performs either a basic movement or a shoot action. You choose the action in the target direction. There is no card cost for that action, meaning that you use this card, and when you're using it on somebody else, that player does not have to play an action card in order to perform a shoot or a movement action. The key thing is that while this card is interruptible, it essentially works like order in the fact that you make the decision of what that player does. If you want to force them to run out of the room and take an opportunity attack, you can do that. If you want them to shoot and kill it when they would rather spend the ammo on something else or trying to reload it for something else, then you can do that. It's just as much of a helpfulness of being able to help people move or help people to shoot as it is a hindrance. So overall, the psychologist is a very powerful support role, and honestly, his biggest weakness is when he's by himself. All of his best cards and his tools are best utilized when he is traveling with somebody. Doesn't matter if it's traveling with the medic, the mechanic, whoever. The best way to play the psychologist in comparison to the scientist is that you want to stick with somebody at all times. This could be a good thing. This could mean that your playstyle might lend you to actually doing more personal objectives, things that are less harmful to the overall group, in comparison to the corporate ones. Because you'll be that support role. You'll be getting them cards, making sure that they can move and do shoot actions if they need to. It's making sure that they don't get surprise attacked, or that you don't get surprise attacked. So, the psychologist is a very powerful support role, but just make sure that you're not on their bad side, because otherwise they have the tools to take away said support from you and make things way harder. But otherwise, make sure you leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.